Explain like I'm 5 what exactly expires in children's car seats. To me it just looks like plastic, cloth and some foam padding. All synthetic materials that don't seem to decay as quickly as the manufacturers suggest. So what? Expires? Are the expiry dates just a scam? How can I tell if it's expired? Is it really that unsafe to use after expiry? What happens to all the unsold ones left on the shelf? The styrofoam that helps absorb impacts degrades over time. But also they don't want to guarantee the seat will be safe indefinitely. Otherwise they'd get sued when a kid gets hurt in a 20-year-old seat. NY Times asked Graco why their car seats have expiration date 6 years after manufacturing when it's not required by law. Graco representative stated plastic does not have any problems until 10 years at a minimum. The real reason for the expiration date is that regulations change over time and Graco doesn't want people using seats with old, less safe designs. This is my guess. I would also assume car seat manufacturers don't want to service recalls for really old seats as it gets expensive. Saying the seat has expired makes more people get rid of their old seats. I always assumed the plastics are the main concern since UV light and heat can cause plastics to become brittle over time. I thought the same until I got an old car seat out of storage to give away and the plastic was brittle and not the same anymore. I wouldn't have felt safe using it on my own child, so binned it instead. It's a pity because they are expensive, but I guess they sit in boiling hot cars for many hours, which results in plastic degrading. Plastic that's been repeatedly rattled, banged, exposed to changing temperatures and the sun takes on micro cracks and begins to deteriorate. The plastic may take thousands of years to fully break down, but the cracks can cause failure in protecting your child in the event of an accident if any component breaks. The company has to give you an expiry date because they are protecting themselves from being sued. It's science. You gotta remember that car seats are in hot cold cars exposed to potentially extreme temps often. That combined with the kid and parents pulling on the seat daily to use it, car seats are bound to break down over time. Anyone with kids knows car seats are put through some stuff. Car seats can be reused as long as it's been in no accidents and it's no expired. The expiration dated on a sticker, usually somewhere on the seat. I was skeptical as well. Then a few weeks ago I brought up an expired car seat from the basement, 6-7-ish years old, and a piece of the foam broke off in my hand. The foams are what absorb energy in a crash. And if they begin to break down, they will fail. While materials can degrade, the expiration dates are also the length of time that the manufacturer tests them. Using them past the limits makes your child the crash test dummy. It might be more about how they anticipate the standards to be more strict. It could be that they are concerned if you use it frequently for many years, wear and tear will damage the straps. Sun degrades nylon, so the seatbelts could degrade, but unlikely since your driver's seatbelt doesn't have a service life. I think the first one is the reason personally. Companies are constantly revising to things and government is pushing them to improve. Nothing expires. Structural plastics maintain their strength and do not embrittle under heat or UV to the point where it would compromise their effectiveness as a car seat. It's a total scam. Context: I'm a mechanical engineer who has working in reliability and structural durability in the automotive industry. I get angry when people insist that you can't pass down a car seat, but insist on making a poor parent go out and buy new while throwing a perfectly good one in the garbage. Have you ever had a plastic lawn chair that one day the leg just snaps off? It's bullshit. Used car seats in America are resold in other countries, mostly Mexico. People in Mexico will buy the old car seats for about $3 and use it for themselves. If the car seat hasn't been in an accident and the plastic isn't discolored from excessive age, you're fine. Giving it a kick or a smack will let you know how sturdy it is. There has never been reports of Mexican children dying from reusing old car seats. Because it's not a real thing. I'm not saying that this is the main reason, but adding it since I didn't see it. Ozone is found in the atmosphere in small concentrations everywhere. Ozone undeniably degrades plastic. Over time, this will cause plastic to lose strength and structure. So even if left in the dark, the car seat will go through some aging, albeit much slower than the expiration date comes. Car seats are kind of a scam. But no one can say that for obvious reasons. Not advice, legal or otherwise. I wholeheartedly endorse children in full-body rear-facing car seats with helmets until age 24. Included in what everyone else said here, all seatbelts have an expiration date. Most people just don't look for them. Kind of like food that expires. It degrades over time. That doesn't mean it isn't safe. But it isn't tested either. So no guarantees about whether or not it will perform adequately. Plastic degrades from exposure to sunlight and will become brittle over time. Thermal shifts, I'm sure, have an effect too on foam and plastic that can degrade their effectiveness. But personally, I think it's overblown and overcautious, but who wants to take those risks with their kids? TBF. The manufacturer doesn't know where any individual car seat is going to be used. So in their place, I would assume that they are all going to be used in the high desert. Plastics degrade in sunlight. Look at a 20-yo car that has been in Southern California and lived outside the whole time. The car itself may be pristine, but the upholstery is not. Eventually it will literally disintegrate. You don't want a kid's car seat to get even a little brittle. A lot of the same materials in the car seat are exactly the same as the safety equipment in a car. And we don't talk about their expiration. So, the actual materials can potentially be in okay condition still. Now the manufacturer may be assuming a certain degree of rough handling of the seat which does damage it over time. What is a risk or second-hand car seats? Because you don't really know their history, I expect this expiration quite effectively reduces second-hand sales, which is probably a good thing. It's not necessarily an expiration date like food has an expiration date. It's a recommended date that tells you when you should replace it after normal driving conditions. At a point in time, the car seat will do a substantially lesser job at protecting your child, even if you've never been in an accident. If you've ever had a kid in a car seat, you know that almost nobody wants a used car seat. So it doesn't even matter really. The materials degrade over time. You're also supposed to replace them if you ever get into an accident, as they may be compromised. If you buy a new seat, you won't have to replace it due to expiring. It's not really as if it is automatically bad after that date, but it's hedging against the unknown conditions that the seat has been exposed to over that time period. Needs to put a timestamp on these things. The last thing you want is someone to be driving around using a car seat from the 80s. To me, it just looks like plastic, cloth and some foam padding. All synthetic materials that don't seem to decay as quickly as the manufacturers suggest. So what expires? The plastic, cloth, and foam padding. Frankly, seeing how my kids treat their car seats, I'm surprised they don't expire in 2 weeks. Could they last longer? Maybe. But better safe than sorry. Heat and sun exposure can weaken the straps and plastic the seat. Wear and tear over the years can weaken the fabric also. After years and years of testing, I trust them if they say it expires. To me, the risk of thinking I know better than they do isn't worth it.